Wes, I don't want us to run out of time here, so let's go ahead and get to your betting card so that we can make sure you have time to do some explaining as well.
Yeah, we'll do a little rapid fire here on the outrights. I wish I would have waited. I would have got a better number, but you could still do that in some spots. I did end up, even though it wasn't one of my first guys, Rory McIlroy at 14-1. I just think, he's cooled off a little bit, obviously, but if you look, he's got a short drift. Maybe this is a good spot. Keep in mind, he ended last year and began this year on a 7-event streak of finishing 4th or better and had 3 victories in that span. Tour Championship, CJ Cup, Dubai Desert Classic.
If you're listening to us live, by the way, Wes, screen just flashed 18-1 at DraftKings right now.
Okay.
So
yeah, you can get better. I think that's a jump in.
But real quick, you'd add on at that price.
Absolutely.
Right? If you bet at 14, you're going to add a little bit at 18.
I'm going to have to.
Literally just flashed as you were giving your spiel right
And
there.
he goes on a Donald Ross design where I know it's not a totally comparable course, but he won 3 times at East Lake for the Tour Championship. So he actually won there last fall as well. So Rory, I think on this drift now at 18, like when you see nobody picking him, and like I haven't even like the casual people that are like not golf bettors that are like media personalities aren't even picking this guy. So maybe that's the time to jump in. Xander Schauffele, 19-1. I have him at a little bit better, but that's at least somewhat available in the market. Best player never to win a major. He'd be at the top of my list. Has 6 top 5s, 4 additional top 10s. Plays really well in the Northeast. Very good at Shinnecock Hills a couple years ago and at Bethpage and at Wingfoot. Won the Travelers Championship last year in Connecticut. Really good form. Reached the quarters at the match play, 10th at Augusta, 4th at the Harbor Town, 4th in the pairs event with Cantlay in New Orleans, 2nd at Quail Hollow. Speaking of Cantlay, Patrick Cantlay, 20-1. I think his driver's going to be really big this week, and he's a guy with 2 wins in the Northeast at the BMW Championship. Also has won twice at Muirfield Village for the Memorial on these bent grass greens. Number 2 in strokes gained OTT. Number 1 in strokes gained putting on bent grass last 36 rounds. Tony Finau, 25-1. I have a little better number. He's just got the win equity now. He's got 4 stroke play wins in his last 19 events. 1 on a Donald Ross design at Detroit last summer at the Rocket Mortgage. Number 1 on approach on the PGA Tour this year. Cameron Young, this is one I bet a couple weeks ago. I don't really love it. He's not in really great form, but this is where the best weapon in his bag, the driver, can be used and used very often. So I think maybe he turns it around this week. Tyrrell Hatton, who I added this morning, 5 top 6s so far in 2023, and 4 of them at designated events. 3rd at the Wells Fargo, by the way, 2 weeks ago. And then a couple bombs I did play. Harris English, 250-1. 3rd at Quail Hollow, very quietly behind Wyndham Clark and Xander Schauffele. T2 at the Arnold Palmer, really putted well in that event. T12 at Riviera, where he led the field in putting. Really good on these long classical designs on majors. 4th at Wingfoot in the 2020 U.S. Open. 3rd at Torrey Pines in 2021. Had a lot of injuries in 2022, but I think he's back now. And then Cam Davis, 250-1, another Donald Ross design winner at the Rocket Mortgage 2 years ago in Detroit. 6th at the Players, 7th at the RBC, so 2 designated events with really good fields, and he was on that first page of the leaderboard.
We will talk your props and your matchups on the other side. If we pop it back up on the screen real quick, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, Tony Finau, Cam Young, Tyrrell Hatton, Harris English, and Cam Davis in the outright market. You'll also get Kelley and me talking our picks as well. Stick around. Wes, we just went through your outrights, a nice card in which I will let you know I do have a couple of as well on mine. But let's run through your props as well, because these are some, if we're going to preach that people need to do more than just bet the outrights, we need to get to these as well. And you have some matchups head-to-heads as well.
Yeah, and the placement markets I'll get out in the overnight tonight or tomorrow morning. But I did play a couple props here. Low South African, you can play those low nationality props. I went with Dean Burmester at 8-5. That's plus 160. 3 top 10s in his last 4 starts on the LIV Tour. We talked about distance, that this is a long course. He's one of the longest drivers in the field, and I think that that's going to be an advantage this week. If you look at the market, you don't have the Charles Schwartzels and the Louis Oosthuizens in this PGA. You've got 4 South Africans. One is Tristan Lawrence, who's in really tough form this year. Aki Stridham, who is an absolute journeyman, who won his first DP World Tour event at the age of 38, playing in his first major. So it's basically what I boil it down to, Dean Burmester against Bezuidenhout. And I like Burmester in terms of the length. Adrian Meronk, who I hit a couple weeks ago at the Italian Open, probably played his way on the Ryder Cup team. 12-1 for top debutant. Now, you got quality at the top, Sahith Theegala and those guys, but Meronk is a really good driver. He hits it a long way, too. He's number 1 in strokes gained off the tee on the DP World Tour this season, was second in the category last year, top 30 in driving distance. And then the low senior, of which there are 5, Wai Yang, Sean McKeel, who won here in 2003. Shout out to my Indiana University guy. Phil Mickelson, Padraig Harrington, and Stephen Alker, 4-1 is the low over 50 here. He's won 6 times on PGA Tour Champions over the last 18 months since he's turned 50. He beat Steve Stricker, who won the Regions Tradition this past weekend, beat him by 4 at the Insperity Invitational down in Houston. So, Phil, I'm willing to look at the Masters finish as an outlier, because if you look at what he's done on Live since, not even been close. Padraig Harrington is the main competition here for Stephen Alker.
Kelly, it looks like I'm going to go next. I think I was getting teed up here to give my picks. So I sat here and said on Monday and lied to everybody, where I was like, I don't think I'm going to have any super long shots. And then I got to where I didn't have an outright card that I really filled out. And so then at that point, I went to the model and just like, okay, where are guys showing up? It doesn't match the odds that are posted, and I'll just throw a few bucks on those guys. So again, I lied yesterday. That's why you tuned in today. So I'm going to start out Xander Schauffele. This is for everything Wes said. He's on Wes's card as well. 1750 is what I have him at. He's 16 right now over on DraftKings. Still bettable, in my opinion. Listen, he doesn't do anything exceptionally well. He just does everything very well. Yes. And so on a course like this, where it's going to be a grind, give me the dude that is okay with taking par every now and then, can scramble to get that par if need be, can get hot with those long irons, especially very, very good with those long irons. And so give me Xander Schauffele, 1750. I'm also on Finau as well, Wes. When we talk about win equity and guys that have a complete game, he used to be the one that we would throw out because of the win equity argument, and now that is out the window. This guy can win. This guy can hold off big names and win tournaments as well, as we've already seen. Tony Finau, as complete a player as we have in this field, so do like him a ton. A couple of late ads here for me in Sung J M and Max Homa. These are not the best numbers that I'm sure a lot of people out there got. I get it. It is what it is. I wanted to get them on the card. And you look at Sung J, as far as form goes, there might not be a more consistent player on tour than Sung J M. It's why we bet him top 20s basically every single week. We've been printing money doing that with Sung J M. But this whole Jason Day win last week made me come in on Sung J M. And it was these guys that play well and continue to play well. And it's like our knock on them is, well, they can't win. They get in the winner's circle eventually, right? And Sung J's just been right there over and over and over again.
And he just did last week, winning over on the Korean Tour. So, you know, maybe that gives him some confidence. I considered Sung Jae as well. Yeah, again, not the best number on Sung Jae, but I'm okay with it. Max Homa just fits the stat profile for me here, and so this is where I did. I was a slave really to the model type thing when it came to the stat profile deal for him. All the stuff I was looking for, long enough off the tee, finds enough fairways, has enough. Look, I even looked at like club head speed for a lot of these guys, because hitting out of this rough, right, is going to be hard. I mean, it's going to be very tough. Like, do you have enough club head speed to get out of there and make sure that you can like have some playable shots? And he checked all the boxes. And honestly, the number drift, Kelly, here out over 40-1 on a guy. We talk about win equity. The guy's won a million times, 6 times, already. Like, give me Homa at this number. That's
what we brought it up a bit yesterday with Homa. I wanted to get your thoughts on that, because obviously we have bet him a lot to a lot of success on the pod. He's just he's one of those guys, like we said from the beginning of the show today. We're looking for someone where you got to look for a player who's not bad in any one specific category, really, this week of the main statistical categories, and Homa fits that, right? He is good enough at everything to contend here.
So that's actually the end of kind of like the outright card plays for me. I grabbed a Cam Smith just as a number grab at 45-1. He's sitting 30-1 right now. He did contend at the Live event this past week, and so maybe he's in contention, but it was more the 45-1 number grab for me. So I actually did come in on some of these longer guys. I did come in on some guys that I didn't necessarily think I was going to be playing. I played Wyndham Clark at 80-1. If you look at the model, Wyndham Clark was inside the top 20 in every single version of every single thing that I ran, and now he's won, and so give me some win equity in there as well. 80-1, I like him. Taylor Moore, also a guy that has won, who's also inside the top 25 of every single version of every model. You're getting triple digits on him. And these two guys, Wes could probably explain a little bit better than me, but Wes, I was wondering why these guys weren't showing up, but I was sorting by category. And then you go over the last 24 rounds, strokes gained tee to green in this field. Yannick Paul is third overall in this entire field.
I wanted to bet him in Belgium last week, and then he withdrew because he got into the PGA.
And Thorborn Olsen is seventh in this entire field in strokes gained tee to green. Now, a lot of the other statistics didn't factor into the modeling, which is why they were so low in the modeling. So it just, when I was sorting by the different categories to see if there were any outliers, those guys were huge outliers, and I'm getting 525 and 800 to 1 on them. And if they're inside the top 5, top 6, top 7 in a very important category over the last 24 rounds, it was worth a flyer shot.
Olsen might be good in the low Dane market against the Højgaard brothers.
Kelley, let's get to yours real quick. We can circle back if we need to.
Real quick, just outright. Hey, we share a lot of them in pod play if you want to get that ready coming up here.
Baby.
So I'm going to explain this a little bit. So this is a major. I was able to grab some of these numbers a week, 2 weeks back. Okay, so Patrick Cantlay, 24 to 1. I love Tony Finau. Fire it up, Matt Brown, if you got it ready, because we're all on Finau this week. 29 to 1.
Pod play, Tony Finau.
29 to 1 on him. Okay, then I took a little bit longer shot. Sung Jae, 40 to 1. Cameron Smith, 45 to 1. You kind of already talked about both those, Matt. Tyrrell Hatton. This was a guy I was not expecting to play this week. Really digging into this event, into this field, into what he's done. Again, another guy who doesn't do anything really, doesn't struggle at much anything. I liked him at 46 to 1. My boy Keegan Bradle.
Keegan Bradle.
Yeah. That's me and him.
New guy in the field, Keegan Bradle.
Yes.
Keegan Bradle.
Sharp there.
Yeah.
So I did
not
bet
Fraggle, Bradle, whatever. Like Keegan Fraggle. Yeah.
100 to 1 though, shot in Northeast where Keegan's from, plays well up there. That's what I bet for my outrights this week. I did want to make this point though. These are numbers, especially with Cantlay and Finau, who I'm very high on. I am very high on Xander Schauffele too, who I know you guys both bet. It's all a numbers game, right? So this is, at these odds, I was comfortable betting Patrick Cantlay and Tony Finau. If I had to start my outright card today, I'm not sure I would be betting those guys at current numbers. Finau probably still. Cantlay has probably moved a little bit too much from the 24 that I got. If I had to start an outright card today, it would be with Jon Rahm. It would be Jon Rahm, and then I would be playing a couple other guys after that. I just want to make that clear for our audience out there, because this is, sometimes we get the advantage of jumping on some of these outrights a little bit earlier with a little bit longer numbers. Real quick then, top 20, real heavy on Xander Schauffele, Patrick Cantlay, Tony Finau this week, and Tyrrell Hatton. Wyndham Clark, this is where I played him, Matt, in the top 20 market, played a couple matchups with him. Finau over Jason Day in a matchup, Cam Davis over JT Poston in a matchup, and the all-injury matchup, Hideki Matsuyama over Jordan Spieth. Who withdraws first? We'll see.
I was looking down trying to find the 100 to 1 on Keegan Bradle. Couldn't find it. I don't know where he is here. Placement market bets for me real quick. I bet Scotty Scheffler top 5. The guy's just he's just a machine, and I'll take the plus money on him. He doesn't have to win it. I'm still going to get plus money on that. Top 10s on Jason Day and Ricky Fowler. Top 20s on Sung J M, Tyrrell Hatton, and Gary Woodland, who I don't think can win because he putts so horribly. But everything else fits the stat profile
His
here.
ball striking's amazing.
So give me a top 20. He's not going to make the putts needed to win it, but I'll take the top 20 at over 4 to 1 on him. And then top 40 plays on Taylor Moore and Yannick Paul, as I mentioned, a guy that just really did stand out to me a little bit more.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.